All right, so we're now live for Yoroi. So let's see. Let me just share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so these are all the pull requests we had that are merged for Yoroi front end this past few days, or I guess 2 weeks actually. So we launched a new version 1.2.0, which fixed some stuff, and then we actually have 1.2.1 also. So a few things that this changed. Let's see. We have the change log actually in this pull request, I think. Yeah, so we changed the password validation to match the Yoroi wallet. So Yoroi wallet uses 12 letters as password. That's the only requirement. So now we match that. We have the export transaction to file feature. So that's done. Good work, everybody. We now show intra wallet transaction. So this means if you send transaction to yourself, we now show intra wallet as the name of the transaction. And this matches the behavior of the mobile also. And
correct balance too, right?
Sorry, one more time.
And correct balance for it too.
Yeah, and we have the correct balance. So now we also have, when you open a transaction in Yoroi, you can see the fee. So I can show you probably if I open this right now. I'm not sure if I have any funds on this copy of Yoroi. No, but I have historical funds. Okay, so you can see now we have the fee added here, and you can see we have the export transaction history feature here. So this is basically what we shipped. Next up, oh yeah, by the way, I also fixed the managed translations issue. If you're running managed translations and you were getting some weird things where it would delete random translations for seemingly no reason, that was a bug, and I fixed it. So now you can run managed translations and have it just work. So that's what we did in the past week and a half or 2 weeks, something like that. For open PRs, I think the only thing to really take into account right now is the German-French support that we want to add. So for that one, we have this PR which enables the languages in Yoroi. We have the terms of service. I just haven't uploaded them yet. And then we need to actually finish the translations because German is like 99% done, but it's a few small things remaining. And then French is maybe like a 50% or 70% done. I'd have to calculate it, but something like that. So we'd have to finish the actual translations. We wanted to try and get community support for adding and managing these languages in the future. Because like we have no German speakers at the company as far as I know. And so basically we would need people from the community to manage and update these translations every time we modify them. So people from the German community have volunteered already to help us manage these. And we just have to find a process to get them up to date on managing these translations and Crowdin and how we use it. We haven't had time to do this yet because as we all know, we all have a giant mountain of tasks to do that is seemingly never ending. And so I don't know how we'll find time to eventually add this, but you know, we'll have to just sneak it in somewhere between other tasks. So that's the progress on language support. So if somebody messages you, like for example, we got a message a few days ago asking for Portuguese support, and they said they're willing to help us translate to Portuguese. It'd be really nice, but we should wait until we have a process. Try the process out with the people, because it's not just one person helping us with German, it's a few people and we know them. So we have a fair amount of trust that they're going to be able to do this. And so once we have the German team set up and we have a process for them to be involved, and we know the process, then we can try and expand the community support to other languages. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes. Is there an option, maybe if we can in some way mark the languages in Yoroi UI that are currently under like community support or something like that? So that people, when selecting languages, we can link to our GitHub or something like that. But when users select a language, so they can see that this language is supported by community. Would it make sense?
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if somebody wants to volunteer to spend the day making that UI and that feature to do this, but I don't have time to do that right now.
Yeah, because we could even add like a credit section in settings, and we put like thanks to all the people from the community that are helping.
I think quicker way will be the where we in settings there is a place where we change the language. Maybe we can add one line of text depending upon community or supported language. If user selected German, then yeah, just show the text.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good idea. I'm just not sure when we'll find time to do this, but yeah, let's keep it in mind. And then if somebody ever has like a few hours between tasks, then maybe try and crank this out really quick. That's the only thing I can suggest, I guess, because nobody has bandwidth to take more tests right now.
Yeah.
All right, and then the other thing that we have to somehow find time to do is merging this big PR for the ADA redemption feature in Yoroi. So this is going to be non-trivial to review and test and everything. So I don't know who wants to sacrifice themselves for the greater good and go through all of this. Tentatively, I'm thinking maybe I should do it. So I think that'll be the fastest because I have background on this topic and everything. And that'll delay some of the other stuff I'm supposed to do, but that's unavoidable. Somebody's gonna have to sacrifice to go through this. Is everybody okay with that? Is there anybody else who is really passionate about ADA redemption that wants to go through this?
I don't know about passionate or about it. I'll be in sync with changes in the code base. So I will check it out just to see like the architecture of the solution.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if I have time to go through this today, but I'll either go through it tonight or possibly more likely tomorrow morning. So I'll sneak it into my to-do list. All right, so I think that's all we had for Yoroi front end. The other thing I want to add is that Firefox support, as you may know, is still not available. The reason why, if you haven't been in the loop, is because although our application works for Firefox and it's part of our continuous integration, making sure the Firefox build always works, to actually get your plugin approved by Firefox, you need to make sure all individual files in your repository are under a certain size. Okay, and we have a file that's called like Yoroi bundle, where we bundle all the JavaScript into one big file, and that file is over the limit. So to actually get our plugin approved by Firefox, it means we have to somehow figure out how to split up this bundle into multiple parts and then rejoin them at runtime, which just sounds like tedious work, and nobody really has the bandwidth to do right now anyway. So tentatively, we just haven't tried to resubmit with this fix because we just don't have time to do it. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's on our to-do list to just figure this out and get it working, but unfortunately, It's not the most. It's although it is a demanded feature, it is not the most demanded feature. And we know we won't regress because we have Firefox make sure that Firefox works in our CI. So we can just eventually do this once we have time. All right, so that's it for Yoroi front end. Does anybody else want anything real quick before I go to mobile?
Oh, maybe we could talk about the last bug that we found out.
Oh yeah, so one thing that I'm trying to work on right now between all the other things is a lot of users are hitting a desync issue between Yoroi front end, the Yoroi Chrome, and the mobile version. And the reason they're hitting a desync, where one address will be used on, for example, mobile, and the address is not marked as used on Chrome, is because we accidentally don't check the next addresses in the list. So what I mean by that is, for example, on Chrome, we pull our backend every 20 seconds, I think, something like that, to see if there are any new transactions for the addresses we hold. What we should be doing is check our backend for any addresses we hold plus the next 20. That would make us conformant to BIP44 because that's what you're supposed to do. We do that for the restore, which is why if you delete your wallet and restore it, it'll fix the desync. But we need to do that just continuously. It's not the worst bug, but it's now occurring much more often because people tend to have their mobile phones open with their Chrome open at the same time. The worse version of the bug is not only does this happen on regular addresses, it also happens on change addresses. Okay, so if you're not familiar with BIP44, actually the addresses you use to receive transactions are a different chain than the ones you use for change addresses. Okay, so you can imagine whenever you press the generate address button, it's as if you're popping one address off some infinitely long chain. You can imagine. Okay, and whenever you send a transaction, it creates a change address. And you can imagine a change address being popped off from a different infinitely long chain. Okay, and because they're different chains, you have to handle them separately. And so not only do we not check for the next 20 for the receiving chain, we also don't check for the next change address for the change chain. Okay, and so that bug is much uglier because that is what's leading to people having the wrong displayed balance in their UI. Okay, because what happens is they send a transaction on mobile and it creates a change address, but then when they look in Chrome, that change address is not recognized as their address. And that's what's causing this weird bug where people seem to have incorrect balances. So that's something we definitely have to fix, and that's what I'm trying to look into right now. But the mobile version of Yoroi has different logic for how to handle these chains, and they have a slightly different problem where their UI just doesn't even manage to show all your used addresses. So they also have a different bug related to the same problem, where when they're trying to display the used addresses in the UI, they only check one ahead instead of 20 ahead, like you're supposed to. So I'm trying to look into fixing that right now.
This is really great news. Thank you.
Yeah, well, somebody has to do it. So now let's go into mobile. So because I'm already talking, I'm gonna say what I did.
So I have one
Go for it.
two questions about Yoroi. So one is about migration of another Yoroi account to Yoroi accounts. Like we were working on that for some time, I think. So how, like, when we are gonna implement that?
Yeah, so that one we couldn't do it because there's a feature in Rust that was missing. And I know Rustly made a feature request for it, and then it got solved somehow, but I don't remember exactly how it got solved. So, Rustlin, do you want to talk more about that?
Which one? Sorry.
Yoroi to Yoroi.
What?
The idea is that right now we have Daedalus to Yoroi, but the idea was that so we could have Yoroi to Yoroi. So, for example, if you have a normal Yoroi account and you buy a hardware wallet, that you could like do the same thing.
Yes. We can potentially do it now with the current Rust API we have, but it would be super hard and it would be super inefficient to trying to do. So in order to be able to do this, we need to migrate to this new Rust API that they provided to us, but the one that doesn't just work out of the box. There are some weird issues related to the framework they're using to auto-generate WASM and JS from Rust. And so there are like some framework hell happening where our dependencies are colliding with the stuff that this framework needs, something like that. So we need to put some additional time into trying to migrate to this new API, and then we will be able to do all this stuff. They have it there.
Okay, so maybe we can retry after Shelly release or before that.
Well, we will try to do it eventually. That's all I can try. All I can say for now. The workload right now does not allow us to spend too much time on this API migration, especially since we don't know the estimated timeline even, because we can't figure out the reason why it doesn't work. So it might take like an hour or might take a month. So that's the problem.
Okay, I was mentioning this because it will open many good features in Yoroi, like suppose now we have Treasure Wallet integration, and with one device we can create only one account of Yoroi with Treasure, because like if we support multiple, then we will have option to make it multiple accounts also with Treasure. So this is one point.
I guess for now, we could save like the day, or I don't know how to say, but like an okay solution now is that you can use the mobile apps, and maybe you can like restore from the mnemonics, and then you create a new account for like hardware wallet in Yoroi desktop, and then from the mobile you transfer for the Yoroi desktop. But
I think
in priority, update the entire backend and architecture for like Icarus. So right now, that's our highest priority.
I feel the problem is like when we are requesting wallet request, like get a public address from Treasure, we are like statically fixing to the first account of Cardano. So when like which is already set to like which is already set somewhere else with one account, so I think it cannot be changed to another account. So I think there are two types of problem here. One is making user able to select which Cardano account he should use for Trezor. And yeah, as
Right now, we
Nicholas.
don't. That's like not necessary because in the first account, and that's working fine. If you want to use a hardware wallet, we are kind of forcing you to create a new mnemonics because you shouldn't be using the same mnemonics. So actually, using the same mnemonics is bad because if they are already like I don't know, compromised, you are like not getting better security by using hardware wallets. So actually, you don't want to do this, and actually, you want to use like the first account.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Shin. That'd be nice if we had the ability to support these things, but it's just not a priority right now. We have workarounds for them. They're not the prettiest workarounds, but they exist. And so it's just not a priority right now, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the second one is about new design of Yoroi, which is, I think, Mikita was working. So is there any like priority to merge that? Like with
Mikita haven't been able to finish that because we asked him to start working on the website, so
Mhm.
he stopped doing that. So it's
Okay.
like
So
unfinished.
yeah, why I'm asking because now I started working on laser, and yeah, merging that pair is a little bit will be painful, I think. So yeah, I just wanted to know the timeline of that.
Uh, Depends how things are going.
Okay, okay, yeah.
I have a question about your frontend. So we had an issue in there with the translation scripts that we migrated to some new version of some framework or something, and the script that prepared all the new keys to the localization file stopped working. Do we
Yeah, I
have
fixed that.
already an issue about it? What? What? Sorry.
I already fixed it. If you go to the latest develop, it's fixed.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. So we have this couple of pull requests that I have opened, but they are stuck at this part. So we have transfer from Daedalus paper wallets. It's basically ready. The only missing part is this properly prepared localization, and also I might need like maybe 30 minutes or an hour, probably 30 minutes of someone, some UI expert to fix the single button that I have added there. Yeah, so it would look fine, and then we can have this feature released, which is basically the only missing part where we can like attract Daedalus users by showing them that if anything happens, they are like secure because there is also Yoroi. So now paper wallets also will be secure. And about the pull request that adds about Yoroi section settings, Seba, you're working on it right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Asuka's working on it right now. So she showed me her work so far. So she said she had to refactor the this thing over here. You see the bottom where it's like how to buy a treasure wallet, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
This was not done in a reusable way. It's just hard coded.
Yeah, but how is this related to this about Yoroi thing?
Because I think the best UI for this would be a Twitter button, GitHub button, a YouTube button with icons. So what we need is a generic way to have buttons with icons next to it, which should be a reusable component for this thing or anywhere else, right?
So, but when do you want to place them, these new buttons?
I think that's not so important. They could be vertical, they could be horizontal. It doesn't matter, but as long as we just have some UI, some reusable component that allows us to have buttons with a picture in it, then we're happy.
Okay.
So that's
now
just
I got it. Okay. Yeah. This makes sense. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's it for the Yoroi frontend for me too.
All right. So I don't know. Maybe she'll finish this by the end of the week. I don't know how fast she'll go.
Sounds good.
All right. So for Yoroi Mobile, So I started looking into it end of last week. I added two things. Mostly, I'm just still ramping up on this code base. So I have a lot to read, a lot to learn. One thing I did add is set up on Windows. So now I have steps for how to set up a physical Android device on Windows, because our code base only works on basically Ubuntu or Unix-based systems. So I made Yoroi Mobile itself build on Windows, but the problem is that the library React Native Cardano just does not work on Windows, and making it work on Windows would be a giant mess, and I still want to spend the time doing that. Unfortunately, the entire thing will not build on Windows. So instead, I have two different options. One of them is I have an option to have a physical device, and you build on Ubuntu, but you plug it into your Windows computer. So as long as you have VirtualBox, it works. And I actually have another open PR where it's how to set up the virtual device on Windows. So you open up the Android emulator on Windows, and then VirtualBox will detect it and expose it to your Ubuntu machine. And then you can debug that way. So that's what I've done so far. So now I have the actual thing working on my machine, and it's still a lot of code to read, and familiarizing myself with the libraries using the code base. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. All right, Mikola, do you want to go?
Yes, sure. Most of the time I was working on Android build, even not a build, but in caching the build, and looks like finished the task. From yesterday, I continue on iOS build, which Nico started, and yesterday I just reviewed how it works. And today have planned to continue on our iOS build for Bitrise. Have a plan to finish it maybe today in the evening. I will have proof of concept, and tomorrow I think I think that it is possible to finish, because from Android on Android I have some experience for at this moment at Bitrise. Therefore, it should not be so hard as for Android. That's all from my side for now.
Sounds good.
Right, I have a question. We have this PR that's fixed Bitrise on Cocoa pods. Can we close this? Is this no longer necessary?
I think let leave it because I play with it. Therefore, at this moment, yes, I need it.
All right. So I think the next thing that would be really nice to have for Yoroi mobile, once you're done that, would be to fix up the translation system. So right now, whenever we make changes to Yoroi mobile, our translators basically have to edit the JavaScript code to modify the strings to translate them. And this is really error prone, and this will basically make any future releases really painful and really slow. So we really need to improve the translation system. Probably it makes the most sense to use the same translation manager that we have in the Chrome version. Although it is not perfect, as far as I can tell, it is the cleanest one to integrate, surprisingly. So it may make sense that we just use the same one for all our projects. So I think that makes sense as the next task after you're done the current build system. Does anybody else have another task that they think is higher priority? I think this one's pretty high, but maybe somebody has something that's even higher.
There is also the bug that we were talking about before about the scanning of addresses. That maybe also that one is like high priority.
Yeah, so I'm looking into that one. So, but I'm saying for Mikola as the next task for them.
Yeah, it makes sense. There is also a few things that Pavel has found. So maybe we could check there, but I don't remember seeing anything like critical.
All right. So Mikola, maybe tomorrow or after tomorrow, whenever you're done this task you're working on now, just ping me, and I'll walk you through how the translation manager works on the Yoroi front end if you're not familiar with it. And then
sure. Okay.
All right. Okay, do we have anything else? I think that's all we had for this week's meeting.
I'm okay.
All right, so next agenda item, quote unquote, is do we want to have a meeting next week? So the thing is that me and Nico will both be gone, or not gone, but we'll be at an event in New York. So theoretically, we could say cancel, but I think instead, as I was saying earlier, we may want to turn this into not a Yoroi weekly meeting, but just an R&D weekly meeting with a Yoroi component that's recorded. So if we do that, then probably makes sense to, going forward, not cancel these even when they are business trips. And just depending on the availability of people, we just work around it. Are people okay with that?
Yeah, makes sense. We can have a meeting, but just without recording if there is nothing interesting happening with Yoroi particularly.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, let's just have it every week then. Okay, then that's all I had. Thanks everybody for coming. I'll have the video up on YouTube. If you didn't, if you don't remember, we stopped making the videos publicly accessible on YouTube directly. So I can show you the UI flow right now if you look at my screen. So because what will happen before is we would have these public on our YouTube channel, and then people get notifications about these. And then people who are not developers will watch these videos and be kind of unsure what this is for and why this is uploaded. So to avoid the confusion, the videos are no longer uploaded to the videos tab. So if you look at videos tab, there's nothing about Yoroi anymore. They're all unlisted. And now instead, we have the Yoroi developers section at the bottom as a playlist. Okay, and all these will show up as part of the playlist. So now if you ever want to review a previous meeting because you want to remind yourself what happened, or if you want to send it to your friends, they're all available in a playlist within our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
All right, so I just want to make sure everybody's aware of this. All right, then. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.